Hello, this is Kindoe. Now, before I begin the video, I should mention that, until further notice, I will be taking over as host for What If. TheDarkZoroark is unable to continue his role as the host, but hopefully this change is permanent. With that out of the way, let's get to the video. On June 29th, 2012, Disney blessed us with the first episode of Gravity Falls, a mystery adventure show in which the Pine twins, Dipper and Mabel, stay with their great-uncle Stan. Throughout the course of the 2 seasons, the Pines and their friends go on many misadventures to defeat evil and discover mysteries. These wacky adventures are what make Gravity Falls so unique and enjoyable. But what if the entire show was a bedtime story? Thanks to Trainer Lizzie for creating this great theory. So, is Gravity Falls just one big bedtime story Dipper is telling Mabel? No. Let me explain. Although they are the same age, Dipper is quite clearly the more mature of the two. Throughout the series, Mabel is depicted as a boy-crazy, hyper, and ecstatic tween, whereas Dipper is shown to be more of an adult. Dipper is always the one handling the more responsible stuff, while Mabel instead gets to chase after boys, have sleepovers, and win pigs at carnivals. You can even see this in their character design. Mabel is always wearing these brightly colored, crazy looking clothes, whereas Dipper wears the same plain old washed out clothing each time. So I think it's fair to say that Dipper would be the one telling the stories. The bags under Dipper's eyes that you see occasionally could also explain a little bit, as Dipper may be staying up late to tell Mabel stories, and he might even be staying up later to prepare more for the next night. Why would there be storytelling in the first place? Where would it come from? Well, the obvious answer is Grunkle Stan. It's possible that when the twins were younger that their parents used to tell them stories about their Grunkle and his adventures of building a ship with his brother and his experience in business. To them, he would seem more like a freelance explorer than any sort of criminal. As they got older, Dipper and Mabel would probably begin to idolize Stan more and more as a role model for how to have fun. Even as they got older, Stan would still be seen in positive light, since both of them are 12 years old, 13 at the end of the series. It's possible that the twins know about why Stan isn't exactly involved in their life. If you weren't already to know, Stan is a con man. Even the Mystery Shack is just a tourist trap to get people to buy authentic souvenirs and have crazy tours. Their parents were likely to have added more details to the story about Stan to try to convince the twins to stop idolizing him and eventually possibly following his path. Unfortunately, because the two twins were pretty mischievous themselves, it's likely that they wouldn't have even cared. But one little detail did probably change their mind. Hearing that Stan had lost Ford due to his irresponsibility and reckless actions, it probably devastated them. Since Stan had been such a good role model for them, to hear that someone who lost someone that he was extremely close to kind of resembled how their situation is. They're close. What if they lose to each other because one of them is a little reckless? So this would explain why in the first few episodes of Gravity Falls, aka the first few bedtime stories, that the twins weren't exactly lenient on getting closer to Stan. After all, the whole idea that they used to have of him had completely shattered. But because they still had faith in Stan, eventually they did have the stories become more friendly towards him, and even his brother got to come back. So what about the other characters and items in the series? What are their purpose? Even though some of these characters and items may be completely fictional and made up by Dipper, it's possible that some of these items do have some sort of representation to their relationship. The journal could either be a representation of how the twins might have a picture journal of when Stan was younger, or it could just be sort of a representation of how Dipper always keeps the stories that he writes for Mabel with him at all times. Gideon's part in Dipper's bedtime story is to show Mabel what a toxic relationship is like. Mabel is boy crazy, and of course this would worry Dipper. To demonstrate what she wants to avoid, he depicts Gideon as this manipulative and evil boy. Even with Gideon's redemption at the end of Season 2, he ends up not getting with Mabel. This is to explain that even if a boy does something nice for you, you aren't obligated to be with him. Bill is used as a prop for more plot and excitement, and to invoke sympathy for the characters. such as when Ford was turned to stone, and when Stan lost all of his memories just to save everyone and defeat Bill. Bill is also a representation of chaos, such as the chaos created in Stan's life after he lost Ford. Mabel and Dipper eventually helping Stan and Ford to vanquish Bill could be a way of Dipper saying that he'll always be there for Mabel. The end of Season 2 could allude to the fact that the bedtime stories are ending. Understandably, Mabel would be upset about this. This is why in the stories, or the show, in the last few episodes, Mabel was a little bit more depressed than her usual self. However, Dipper understands that there needs to be an end to these stories in order for both of them to move on. Judging by the fact that the ending of Gravity Falls was extremely beautiful and tear-jerking, I say he did a pretty good job at making a good ending. So, what if this was the truth? So if Gravity Falls was just one big bedtime story, this would definitely mean that Dipper is truly the best Big Brother ever. To dedicate so much effort into creating such an intricate and complex world, just to entertain your little sister? 10 out of 10 Big Brother right there. It's just truly admirable. For Mabel, this would mean that she did manage to get over her sort of depression and was able to move on. And this was all thanks to Dipper. Sadly, this would likely mean that Stan never did actually get a redemption story, and that Ford never actually did get to return. This does make things a little bit more upsetting, but the fact that Mabel and Dipper are able to handle this within their stories and then overcome it, it shows really good character development between not only these two characters as individuals, but as a whole. Overall, the general feeling of mystery and adventure would still be strong with the show, and all these characters that we all knew, we could still easily fall in love with. But thank you guys for watching this video. As always, give this video a like, comment what you thought. If you have a theory of your own, why not give us a message? We'll definitely be interested in looking at it. Share this with your friends, and subscribe. We really need it at this kind of point in time. And don't forget to check out our other videos. This is Kindoe signing out. Peace!